You are now listening to Nyeckro, high sodium content.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to another edition of the podcast, High Sodium Content. So high, so salty. Now, on tonight's episode of the podcast, I want to talk about something a little radical tonight. I mean, it might even blow your top off.
What?
Now, many of us are working over 40 hours and really not seeing a significant change in anything. No real benefit. Some are working 80 hours a week to the point of burnout. You know, burnout is when you're feeling so stressed, you're tired, you don't want to do anything, you become fatigued.
I feel like I'm gonna explode here! Ugh.
Burnout. We're all familiar with it. Now, what if I told you that there's a such thing called the 32-hour work week or the 4-day work week? In many known parts of the world. You'd probably be like, what? Come on now. Yep. It's a real thing. And apparently, our good friend Bernie Sanders is proposing this idea. Let's check it out.
Wealthy stockholders on Wall Street. How would legislation like that work, actually?
Well, for a start, the 40-hour week, as I recall, was established in 1940. All right, that is 84 years ago.
Just as old as he is.
Gotcha, bitch.
I mean, with all the technological advancements that we have now, why wouldn't we have a shorter work week? It only makes sense, especially with the advent of AI and all these new technologies that's coming out. I mean, it only makes sense. The future's here. It's 2024. But I digress.
There have been a few modest changes in the economy over the last 84 years. And what's gone on is workers today are far more productive. I mean, think about all of the technology and equipment that's out there today. So the question that we're going to be asking tomorrow is who benefits from all of the changes that have taken place in the economy, the new technology, and, by the way, the artificial intelligence and robotics that's sitting around the corner that it's going to transform the entire economy. Most people, if you got a job today, it's going to be very different 10, 15 years ago from today if you have that job. So what we are saying is, with all of this new technology and an increase in worker productivity, workers should benefit from these changes, not just large corporations and the stockholders.
Listen, I can't argue with the man. I can't argue with the man. Because it seems that the worker is always the one that produces the most amount of work, but reaps the least amount of benefits. How often do you see the CEO in the office? You know, the top dog never has to work hard. And that's just the American way. Nobody's hating on that. You know, if you're at the top, you're at the top. So what? Forget about it. It's just the little guy often burns himself out. And we know that companies don't care. That's going to be in another video. I don't even want to go into that. That's the things that happened to this woman, I'll just say, is so egregious and outrageous it just boggles the mind that like does not show sometimes, can't say all the time, doesn't show empathy, but that's for another time. It's just can't believe it. But back to the 32-hour work week. Personally, I think it's a great thing. And you're gonna hear. I was watching. I think it's The Rise, and the two females, the two co-hosts, anchor women, if you will. We're talking about the 4-day work week or shortened work week, and it just seems so scripted that it was so disgusting and appalling. It's like you're lying, and you should have seen the comments section. They was just ripping these women to shreds. It's just how much money did you get for this? Stop lying, stop the cap. And it's the truth, because we will all benefit from it. I mean, I can't tell you how much I try and cram into a weekend, just to get laundry done or, whatever sort of, I don't know, adulting thing I have to do. I have like that last little day to just rest. And sometimes it's not enough because you got to recover from the previous day. That extra day would be so beneficial. Come to work rejuvenated, happier. People want to come to work and produce. And people are more productive, according to studies. So, why wouldn't you really want to do it? And it just seems that for some reason in this country, it's just work for absolutely nothing.
They're getting rich off us.
Just work, get paid nothing. The little guy suffers all the time. So I'm all for it. 32-hour work week, and there's no loss in pay or anything. And this isn't a new concept. There's other countries that's actually doing this now. Let me give you a couple, just for shits and giggles. So we got the United Kingdom, right? So they recently switched to the 4-day work week, and it was about 61 companies, 2,900 workers. Remarkably, 92% of the companies that participated continued with the 4-day work week. 92%. After the study was completed, 18 confirmed shortly after the study that this had become a permanent change to their company policy. And, just like I said, it promotes happiness, productivity, and it's how many times do you really like waste time going for a smoke break or this break or that break? You have a shortened day or whatever. You're done. Everything's done. Boom, boom, boom. You get out of there. And there's a real work-life balance. You got Ireland, Spain, South Africa, Japan. Wow. I didn't even know Japan. I wouldn't even have thought Japan would have been doing this.
What?
Oh, you must work. Samurai way. No, let me not say that. I'm gonna get canceled. All right, so we got Japan. Despite its international reputation for having some of the most grueling work weeks on the planet, Japan is actually another country where a 4-day work week has been trialed. I never would have thought that in a million years that Japan would have participated in this, but we got Japan. Microsoft Japan ran an experiment with its workforce back in 2019 to see if a 4-day work week would benefit them and the business. The results were nothing short of incredible. Participants in the trial were around 40% more productive. 40% more productive after their hours were compressed, with much better results than the same month a year prior. However, the trend has yet to catch on nationwide. And it's just, maybe you have these dinosaur CEOs stuck in their antiquated ways, reluctant to change. And that's really what it is, because as human beings, we really don't like to change things. This is the status quo. We've been doing it for 40 years. Why change it now? And even when the 40-hour work week was introduced, that was radical because people were working, I don't know, 12, 14 hours a day. I'm not making this up. When that was introduced, it was weird. It's nice for things to change. It really is. But, let's check out this other video.
Economics correspondent Paul Solman takes a look at some companies that are trying out a 4-day, 32-hour week with the same pay.
At Metro Caring in Denver, the food pantry's crazy busy.
There they go with the bread again. Everybody needs bread. I need bread to eat. I need bread in pocket. I need bread now. Serve me bread.
Stop it. Get some help.
Yes.
There were 45,000 visits last year, not far off the 47,000 at the start of the pandemic.
I came out of the pandemic just exhausted, frankly.
CEO Teva Shunitsky felt overworked and overwhelmed.
I worked far too many hours. Hunger has been steadily growing. I was really feeling discouraged. I just don't see it.
And that's right now, people are working 2, 3, 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And it's just crazy. Food prices are way too expensive. Inflation is run amok. And then and then you got all these people working themselves to death, and there's no relief. There's no, I can't breathe. You want to scream. Nobody gives a damn. Save me, Batman.
I was making progress, and so that landed really heavily on me.
And on many of her co-workers.
We were experiencing a lot of burnout on staff and feeling like we were treading water around our mission.
Corey Scrivener oversees food procurement and distribution.
We have had 4 different food access managers in the last 4 years, and it has 1,000% been a burnout factor with every single one of the last 3 previous ones.
In fact, Shunitsky almost quit.
Burnout among nonprofit CEOs and nonprofit employees was higher than any other industry, probably 4 out of 10.
Listen, burnout is just high in general. Burnout now is just, it's going to be high because people are struggling. And it's no relief, it's no benefit. And I don't want to make this a political thing, but we got to point the finger at the head cheese in charge, because he just messed the whole thing up. But that's for another video.
Left the field. I was nearly there.
Instead, though, she took a sabbatical and came back with a proposal. A 4-day work week.
If you can have a more balanced life and work fewer hours, you actually bring more creativity to your job and you bring more efficiency. And those hours that you do work mean more.
Alex Pong has written about working less, runs research and innovation at nonprofit 4-Day Week Global.
If you're in an industry in which there are serious challenges with recruitment and retention, with work-life balance, or if you have concerns about the sustainability of your organization, a 4-day week is a great way to address all of those challenges simultaneously.
Hey, Bernie Sanders thinks so. He recently introduced a Senate bill to reduce the standard work week to 32 hours.
The sad reality is Americans now work more hours than the people of any other wealthy nation.
Now look, a shorter work week is hardly a new idea. In 1930, given ever-increasing output per person, increasing productivity that is, Economist John Maynard Keynes foresaw a 15-hour work week in 100 years.
A 15-hour work week in 100 years.
What?
Now look at that. Look at that footage. That is black and white. That is old. Because that's old. That's 100 years right now. So we should be working like what? Like 10? 15? With AI and everything? Come on now. Somebody.
In 1956, Vice President Richard Nixon predicted a 4-day work week in the, quote, not too distant future. That future is yet to arrive, but thanks perhaps to COVID, companies have begun to shift.
The pandemic had forced a lot of companies to change how they had worked, and so they were more open to the idea of playing around with work time.
As were workers.
We all realize our own mortality.
Stanford's Nicholas Bloom.
You know,
Right.
more than 1 million Americans.
Right. He said the right thing. We recognize our own mortality. This is not how humans are meant to live. We're not meant to be working like this. We're meant to be enjoying ourselves, cooperating with one another, trying to discover new technologies to help one another. You know, not sit at the top of something on a pile of money and be greedy and point the finger and laugh at at the little guy. It's crazy. People need a balance. You shouldn't have to work yourself to death and be stressed out all the time and then get these 2 measly days to just cram some type of life into it. You know, you work all this time and then you travel. You have 3.5 hours maybe out of those 5 days, and then the weekend. That's not a work-life balance. That's a work-slave balance.
Americans have died. You should, enjoy life while you're here. Work from home has been such a bonanza. So I've talked to, hundreds, thousands of managers, employees, and they're kind of like, why didn't we do this earlier? And so as soon
Exactly. The whole work from home movement. Look at how that changed the entire landscape. Like COVID made these companies realize that, like, hey, these people don't need to be in the office. I don't need to pay all this money for this office, for this rent. I can have people work from home and save money, and everybody's happy. Sometimes change is a good thing.
as you start thinking like that, you think, well, what else is there? And other things like, the 4-day week, a whole bunch of changes come into play.
Metro Caring's pilot began in late summer. The staff worked Monday through Thursday, took Fridays off. 32 hours of work, same pay.
There's definitely a learning curve, right? Like, it doesn't just happen like you're just oh, I'm going to be efficient.
To get their work done in 8 fewer hours, employees turned off computer alerts, reorganized their time.
A lot of those have been around meetings and emails, not responding.
You start to prioritize things and realize that certain things are secondary, even tertiary. They're not important. These are things that can be tackled maybe next week, or maybe the following day, or maybe you can designate a day for it.
Right away, but setting aside concentrated blocks, and how to make meetings that are normally an hour into 15 minutes.
A shortened week increases focus, says Gray Miller.
If I have to be here Monday through Friday, I am much more likely to take that half an hour sitting and drinking coffee, or that.
Wait. Time out. Are those rat earrings? You know what? For tonight's purposes, we're going to let it rock.
That 15 minutes stepping outside.
Already weird in 2024.
Integrity Pro Roofing also tried a 4-day week.
I'm from New York.
There are so many
earrings.
tangible, tactical ways that you can give your team back that additional 8 hours of time.
CEO Ray Boyce says her staff focused on tasks and projects in the morning when they were more energized, pushing meetings to the afternoon.
The average knowledge worker loses about 2 hours of
Yeah, anybody gonna be sleepy off a pie? Anybody gonna be tired over some pie? That look like delicious pie too. What's that? The Midwest? That's that good Midwest pie. It's that rhubarb.
Productive time
blueberry.
per day to overly long meetings, to poorly used technology or outmoded processes. So in a sense, for a lot of us, the 4-day week is already here. We're just spending a full day in the office, sitting around in meetings, wondering who's going to change the toner cartridge or talking about the football game.
In surveys completed in February at the end of Nyeckro Caring's trial, employees reported well-being had improved. Pre-trial, just 8% were highly or very highly satisfied with their work-life balance. At the end, that figure rose to 46%. At the start of the pilot, 50% felt burned out. By the end, half that number.
Having 4 days and then a 3-day weekend, oh my lord. It is rejuvenating on all levels.
The results didn't surprise Pond. His firm helped run a 2022 trial of 61 British firms that showed benefits to workers' health and productivity when their hours were reduced.
Managers and companies also reported that people were collaborating better, that they were happier in the office. All of the important metrics trended in positive directions.
Bloom has his doubts, though.
Very productive, well-managed American companies. They're already pretty kick-ass in terms of how well managed they are. These places are very efficient. It's not that easy to take a day out and produce the same amount.
At Integrity Pro Roofing, a strictly 4-day work week did not work year-round.
Roofing and construction tends to be very seasonal.
So employees now work fewer hours during the off-season. But
the summer and the fall is our busiest season. And so we have found that there are times where we do need to ask our team to be flexible and to come back to a 5-day work week when we're experiencing that type of a high volume.
Still, Boyce remains committed to a shorter week for her employees the rest of the year.
Time is our most precious resource. We have a really short life. So if there's any ways that we could give them some additional time, that's really what we wanted to focus on.
At Nyeckro Caring, the 4-day work week created some problems of its own.
We rely on donations and foundations and grant funding to be able to exist in the way that we do. And they don't have a 4-day work week. They don't have a 3-day weekend. There are deadlines that are due on Friday. I often miss emails that are important that come on Fridays. We really do need to be available for some of these bigger deadlines.
As a result, CEO Chernitsky still has to put in hours on Fridays.
I don't know that all of us are to 32 hours yet. I think, some of us, at least on some weeks, are at 35 hours. But frankly, 35 hours is way better than the 50 hours I was working prior to this trial.
Nyeckro Caring plans to make the shorter work week permanent, even as they work out the details.
It may not be exactly like we've done the trial, right? Like maybe we go to a 35-hour work week, or maybe we look at a little bit more flexibility.
Different schedules, perhaps.
Maybe it looks like one team works a different set of days than another team.
And that flexibility may help with retention. Corey Scrivener thinks she'll last longer than her 3 predecessors.
I'm feeling really good. I'm not leaving. I broke the curse.
Scrivener bucked the burnout trend, she says, thanks in part.
All right. Well, there you have it. The 32-hour work week, 4-day work week, whatever you want to call it. Americans need to work shorter hours. Life is short. Time is short. People are tired. People are burnt out. My feet hurt. My back hurt. I got a headache. I got to pick up my kids. I got this dentist appointment. People need time. We need time to do things. AI is here. Why are we working all this time? Things need to be shorter. Why isn't it? But you guys let me know in the comment section, please. Don't all comment at one time. Oh yeah, and let me just thank let me just take a moment to thank you guys. I really appreciate I think it was my last video or the previous video before that got like 800 or something views. That's like the most I've ever gotten at any time. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for checking out the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. It's much appreciated. Don't forget to hit up that comment section. Let me know. What do you guys think of the 32-hour work week? Is it doable? Is it not doable? Y'all let me know. As always, stay salty. Peace.
They're gonna put you all back in chains.
What? Go to school and get a good education. Stop all that gang, man. You not from the hood.